Welcome YouTube, DrZaius here. Welcome to this video. Today I'm bringing you a new deck profile and it is ShineGreymon Yellow. ShineGreymon was a very big contender a few formats ago, where it was the first combo deck in the game and it gave us an amazing control of the board by setting up tamers, so we can use the effect of ShineGreymon to just wipe the entire board from our opponents while we are preparing for attacks. So first of all, let's move directly to why are we using ShineGreymon in BT6. Well, the first reason to play this deck is that it has a very good matchup against two of the most popular decks, which are Gabumon Bond of Friendship and Yesmon. Why do we have those kind of matchups against those meta decks? Is because of Sakuyamon being an incredible card these times. In this format, both Yesmon and Gabumon Bond of Friendship are trying to achieve an OTK playstyle directly from the breeding area, where all the stack of the evolutions are safe. Primarily, in order to have enough memory to perform a Bond of Friendship play, they need to just pull off the Mad Ishida from BT6 and a Gabumon from the breeding area. That's the case when they don't have Davis Motomiya as a memory tamer. If they don't have Davis, then they need those 3 memories from anywhere. Hammer Spark gives them 1 and Mad Ishida gives them another 1, so the point is that Sakuyamon will give security attack -3 to that Digimon, making him unable to finish us. That's the main utility from Sakuyamon, because against Yesmon it has a lot of security +1 effects, such as Starter Deck Greymon, such as Bogdramon, but we can just make him unable to blow up or security. So Sakuyamon is a great card against Yesmon too, because we have a lot of multiple attackers and Sakuyamon is just great against them. Also, if they try to blow up Sakuyamon itself, she will protect himself, so this effect is amazing and it helps us control the breeding area, while ShineGreymon is controlling us the status of the board. Moving on, BT6 has also brought us TK Ankari, which is one of the best yellow tamers in the entire game. If we have fewer security cards than our opponent, we gain 2 memory on the start of the turn. This effect can stack with another copy of the card, so we are at a minimum of 3 each turn, as long as we have fewer security cards than our opponent. In combination with TK, we have 5 memory. Also, Ankari is adding some memory to the mix, and the main reason because we are playing 4 copies of TK Ankari is because it has great utility. Its secondary effect gives us a DGX Coroman or DGX Pigmon's effect. Whenever we attack with a yellow Digimon, we can have -1000 to any Digimon, which could help us situationally to finish and kill some opposing Digimons, where the rest of the DP reduction is not enough. Okay, moving on to the rest of the tamers. For TK Takaishi, I consider this one of the best cards in the entire game, and this tamer has an amazing effect which can let us to watch on our security cards and also pick the best of them depending on the situation. So TK is really valuable. And first and the last of them is Kari. Kari is the worst of them, but it still has some utility. So that's it. We are running 10 tamers, which means that we should have at least one of them in our security in each game. Of course, as ShineGreymon is the protagonist of this deck, we are running a full playset of him. because it gets bigger and bigger as long as we have tamers on the board. Also, it can just eradicate an entire board, so yeah, ShineGreymon is pretty good. Passing down to the rookies, as we are playing a control style of game, we need a lot of good effects based on whatever we are trying to achieve. Starting of all, as we are playing control, we need to draw as much cash as possible, so Pulsemon is the best rookie in that way. It is pretty self-explanatory, but it also gives us a good memory ladder to climb out to ShineGreymon in case of we need some on-play effects and on-play evolutions. Especially as we are getting a lot of memory from our tamers, we can just pull off Pulsemon for 2 memory and then evolve it up to ShineGreymon. That's why Pulsemon has a lot of value in this deck. The next one is starter deck Pataman. This is pretty self-explanatory too, because it lets us recover some memory as long as we kill something by DP reduction, which is something that we are achieving in each game. Finally, 3 Salamon to help us control our security stack in case of we need some recovery, or in case we need some way of surviving against the aggro decks. 2 Starmons. We are running just 2 because the DP reduction of this deck is absurd. Also, we don't want to control the board in the early game, but more in the mid to late game, because Starmon is pretty good when we are just having a lot of presence on the board. That's something we are not achieving with this deck, so 2 Starmons is okay in order to kill situational things. The last rookie is Bushy Agumon. We are running 2 because we get a lot of memory, as we have previously explained. So in the late game, a wild Bushy for gameplay is really possible, and that's why I'm running at least 2 copies of him. Now moving on to the level 4s, we don't have anything to say because the yellow color has the worst of them in the entire game. 3 copies of DrZaius just to evolve it faster, 4 copies of Pitamon because it is a blocker and also it casts 1 to evolve, and 3 copies of Unimon. Unimon is pretty good here because Jesmon can just delete a 5k Digimon just by attacking, so Unimon has the highest of the probabilities to survive an attack. The level 5s, on the other way, are pretty more interesting. The ShineGreymons, both of them are pretty good, especially the first one that lets us play a yellow tamer without paying his cost when digivolving, and this one does not activate the effects. The on-play effects are not activated this time. Please don't confuse this one with this one, because that could cost you the game. The second one, the red ShineGreymon, lets us Digiburst 2 play a tamer with the on-play effect. So just remember to play your TK with this one rather than this one, and everything will be fine. Both inheritable effects are pretty good, especially this one, as we are not having a high presence on the board. We want some aggressive play. So this plays will be the security +1 effects from ShineGreymon most of times, while the other one lets us have a Digimon in play with minus 2000, and that's pretty good too. DP reduction is always welcome. Moving on to the last ones, we have 2 copies of BT4 Coroman. This one is quite optional. I like it because it lets us delete something just by evolving. This is pretty good, and it has a secondary use, which is to scare our opponent when he sees the Coroman in the breeding area. Having Wargreymon in the breeding area is pretty scary for anyone and for anything, as you know that you will lose a Digimon no matter what you do. You only need to move Wargreymon to battle area, then use the Digiburst effect, and then evolve it to ShineGreymon. So if you have 2 tamers, you will blow up anything that is 12,000 or less, or multiple targets. That's why I like Wargreymon in all the yellow decks. Otherwise, you could just play an extra 2 copies of ShineGreymon. ShineGreymon is great here because it has a really low play cost and a really low evo cost. The evo cost is quite good to perform a ShineGreymon play in just 1 turn, but as we have already told, we have plenty of memory. Having a minimum of 5 memory is quite easy if we have at least 2 tamers, 2 copies of TK plus carry or TK plus carry, you know. Having 5 is really easy, that's why ShineGreymon can be on play and we will be still playing our turn. And having ShineGreymon on play into ShineGreymon is a really good play, and also is one of the winning plays of this deck. Lastly, 1 copy of Cosmon Balduran. This card is pretty optional. This slot is quite flexible. I have been playing Dynasmon from BT6, I have been playing 1 copy of BT4's Yellow Wargreymon. I like Cosmon the most because it can help us to clean different Digimons from the table, such as having, let's say we have our ShineGreymon play, but we can still make any play. So with this Cosmon we can clean up the board easily and claim multiple targets at once. Also, it has 14k DP, which can help us in the security, because Gabumon Bond of Friendship tends to be really weak on the strikes on the security. So having a 14,000 DP Digimon is quite useful on the security. Lastly, the DGX. This is not a common thing on the deck profiles, but this deck does not rely on the DGX that much. So most decks tend to be quite impressive on which DGX are you using or not, but here we are running just a playset of Upamon because we need to draw cards in order to just control the board, the state, and to reach our combo pieces. And Upamon fits that role pretty well. Lastly, Coroman from BT4 is another good Digimon to have, especially with all the DP reduction. 4000 DP reduction shouldn't be optimal in order to delete things like Sistermon Seal, like a blocker or something else. So Coroman has an additional 1000 DP reduction that could help us to delete all those pesky Digimons that we hate. So, in our closing thoughts, I have been playing this in some local store tournaments and it has given me really good results. Especially, as I explained before, against Yesmon and Gabumon Bond of Friendship. I think that Security Control and 3 Musketeers are the scariest of the matchups that you could have. Because of them, the strategy of hiding with a delicate plan or just hard casting all the Digimons in order to attack now isn't enough against the removal of the 3 Musketeer cards, especially the Gerterwarch that deletes all the 7 or less of play cost Digimons. Can be a really hateful card. The only thing that we can do against security control style decks is to hard play our big Digimons that are immune to most of their removal. I can't tell anything more about those matchups, and I will only say that this deck is pretty funny to play. It is pretty good, and in BT7 it will get the yellow hybrids and all the support from them. So ShineGreymon is going to be a meta contender in the BT7 format, so just play this deck right now on BT6 is quite good if you are expecting a lot of aggro in your local metagame. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile, and you just enjoy and try this deck, and post on your comments all your opinions, because I will be reading them, and I hope that this gives you a good starting point in order to play this wonderful game. Take care, and please subscribe to my channel in order to help me create better quality content of this TCG. So, goodbye.